We are live. We are live, internet entrepreneurs. We are live again. Hey guys, this is Nikhil Sai. Welcome back to another episode of Internet Entrepreneurs Freedom. So, what is up today? We are interviewing another Tucumã Club Award winner. Excited for this, right? So, we are interviewing another Tucumã Club winner. So, let everyone join in. Super excited for today's interview because today's Tucumã Club winner is one of the craziest guy in the internet marketing history when it comes to cold outreach. So let's not waste any time and welcome Timothy Lee, who is the CEO at the Marketers Elite. Hey,
Hey,
Timothy.
hey guys, how's it going?
It's going great, and thanks for hopping on, Timothy, and thanks for being on time. And Timothy is the CEO at the Marketers Elite, and he's expert at the cold outreach and super pretty guy. So everyone who's watching this live, first of all, thank you so much for joining this, and please make sure to comment hashtag live if you're watching this live and hashtag replay if you're watching replay. And any questions you have, just drop it in the comment box. And Timothy will be with us for 45 minutes, so he can answer them definitely. So let's not waste any time. I'm super excited to have the questions on. Timothy, let's pretty much get started. Like how did it all started? Like, can you please tell us your backstory?
So my backstory was I started an agency back when I was 14 years old. And I originally remember when I first jumped into marketing, it was when MySpace was really big. And your only Facebook friend was Tom, your only MySpace friend was Tom. And so I started that and I got really good with doing marketing on MySpace and started working with a lot of major recording artists and started working with, like Ali and AJ and the Jonas Brothers and some other big names back in the day. And then
Mm-hmm.
after that, I learned Facebook. And I remember when Facebook first started, and it was only mainly for college kids. And then it kind of just, grew from there into what it is today. And so I learned Facebook advertising and just studied it a lot and took some classes. And I actually took Maxwell Finn's class from Unicorn IQ, and got really good with Facebook and Google Ads.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I started an agency and started helping other entrepreneurs, grow and scale their businesses using Facebook ads and with code outreach. When I had my agency, one thing that I had learned was I was always having that problem getting past that 10K mark. And I think a lot of agency owners, they have a tendency to, not being able to get past 10K. And what I was learning is that all these other entrepreneurs and all these business owners that I was reaching out to were
Mm-hmm.
nickel and diming me. They were trying to, nickel and dime me for, pennies on the dollar. And they were like, hey, let's do Facebook ads for, $500 a month or whatever. And, you really can't grow and scale a business or an agency when you're doing things for $500. And so what
100%.
that allowed me to do it made me realize that I needed to start charging more and I needed to start showing my value. And
Mm-hmm.
so I decided to start using code email and started doing some code outreach. And I started reaching out to companies that had a net worth of over $5 million because I knew they could pay me more. And so I just started, sending a bunch of emails out and personalizing those emails. And I was able to get on the phone with some, several CEOs of some, Fortune 500 companies, and I was able to close a $300,000 deal just based off of code email.
Whoa, that $300,000. That's whooping big, but that's amazing. That's amazing. And that's a great
Yeah, it
story.
was
Like,
really cool.
absolutely. Like being in the industry for 14 years, like 14 freaking long years, that's amazing. And like there was not even this Facebook thingy then, right? It was just that MySpace, and right now you're doing pretty good with the cold outreach and the Facebook ads. Amazing, amazing, brother. And like there's a lot of misconception. A lot of people don't believe that like cold outreach can work well. But this simple sentence, $200,000 from just one deal of cold outreach, that freaks out every single person who say that, right?
I think the reason
Absolutely.
why I think the reason why people have the misconception that
Mhm.
code email outreach doesn't work is because they're doing it in bulk. And so they're using systems like Mailshake, or they're using these automated email, systems that they're using to send out emails. And then they're wondering why it's not working. The reason why it's not working is there's nothing in that email that stands out that makes that CEO of that company want to open that email and respond to it. And if you do send it, I mean, I personally get code emails all the time, and I can
Mhm.
tell when an email is personalized and when an email is not. And so I think that's one of the reasons why for me, it's like if I get an email and it's a code email and I can tell whether it was personalized or not, sometimes I won't even respond to it. But if they've actually taken the time to, personalize that email and send me an email where I know they actually did a little bit of research about me and about what I'm offering, then I will
Mhm.
respond to that email, because it just goes to show you that that person took a step further to, to actually, get in your inbox and to get you to respond to them.
Exactly. Yeah, that really makes sense. And yeah, that's like more advanced stuff. We're gonna definitely go deep diving into that part as well. So yeah, like Timothy, like in a nutshell, like how to actually start the cold outreach stuff, like how to actually start, because a lot of people don't know like what to exactly do. They get this information overwhelmed thing because there are a lot of free stuff out there. So what do you think is the best way to start cold outreach?
I think the best way to start doing code outreach, well, step one is obviously knowing, who you're wanting to go after. So it's finding a brand that you're passionate about, or a business that you're passionate about, in a vertical that, that you dig. Like for an example, I mean, you can look around your house and see all kinds of different brands. I mean, like I'm drinking a Fiji water. So it's like, okay, well, if you're passionate about Fiji water, then you could reach
Mhm.
out to get into Fiji's inbox. And, or, if it's a small business, for an example, if you're trying to reach out to a chiropractor, if you're trying to reach out to a dentist or an orthodontist, then it's sending an email that's personalized based off of that dentist or that orthodontist to get them to want to open it. So that would be my, one thing. And not only that, another thing is when you send an email out to, any of these business owners, you make sure that you don't focus solely on you, because you're not the reason why, you're trying to get them as a client. You're trying to get them as a client because you have a problem, you found a problem that they have, and you want to solve that problem. So the best thing to do is if you do have a client that you want to work with, make sure that they have a problem that you can solve. And when you talk to that client, let them do the talking and let them talk about that problem. And then after that, then you can come in and say, hey, I have a solution and this is how I can help you. Because if you send an email and you start all about me, 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 the chances are they're probably not going to respond to you, and they're probably not going to want to talk to you because you're all about yourself and not all about what you can do for them.
Absolutely. Yeah, that really makes sense. Uh-huh.
And then another thing that I would do as well is I would use an email tracking software that allows you to know when that person opens your email. So that way you're able to, track that email all the way from, you sending it to them opening it. And then if they don't open the email, then you know that you can follow up with them in order to get them to respond to you.
Yeah, that really makes sense. Awesome, brother. Awesome. And let's get into the next question, which is like, what are the best ways to connect to actually the business owner? Like, is that a cold email or cold calling or just texting them? Like, how does that goes? Or social media?
I think the best way to reach a business owner for code email would definitely be, there's a couple ways you can do it. One is it's going to depend on the vertical that you're in. So like for one example, if you're going after a chiropractor, then you're going to want to do an email. And you can get those emails off of their Facebook page, or you can get those emails off of, their website. And then you just need to look up some information about the company that you're reaching out to. So like you should look into the orthodontist. Like I have an orthodontist, and my orthodontist has won awards for over 20 years. So that's
Mhm.
something that you would mention and be like, hey, congratulations, I've noticed that you've won awards for the past 20 years. That's awesome. And just kind of go into your email, so that way the business owner knows that you've actually taken the time to look them up and learn a little bit about them. Other than, like, even to this day, I will still get emails from people that are messaging me and asking me if they can help me, with web design services. And it's like, I don't offer web design services. So it's like most people who do code email don't actually take the time and the effort to go and look into that business owner. So, and then,
Absolutely.
yeah. And I definitely wouldn't do, phone calls, because if you do phone calls right away, then you have a hard time, reaching them, because you've got that gatekeeper that's going to answer the phone. And like with the orthodontist, you have the front office person, and the orthodontist is always in and out of seeing patients. And if it's a Fortune 500 company, like I've tend to go after, like, I mean, I've talked to, Spirit Airlines, and a few of the other, big companies. And you're not going to just be able to pick up the phone and call Spirit and say, hey, can I talk to the CEO of Spirit Airlines? So, you're better off actually going through email. And then another good one is also LinkedIn, and being able to use LinkedIn to reach out to, business owners and to build a personal relationship. And so I would definitely say email and LinkedIn, and definitely avoid, by using the phone, because I've tried that before and it doesn't work that doesn't work that well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. And yeah, that really makes sense. Like if you just call someone like and ask for the CEO, they're gonna probably hang up, right? And yeah, those are the best two things where they don't get offended, like especially the email, because they don't have an option. They have an option to respond or not. They can skip it. But a phone call doesn't give that option. They should speak and they get irritated with that. And also the LinkedIn is like a really flexible way. Thanks for putting them out on the table, Timothy. I really appreciate that. And like, see, like as you just mentioned, Timothy, like with these big companies and these golden geese companies which you're talking about, like which are doing already big revenues, like at least like $1 million, at least doing consistent six figures monthly. So like as you mentioned, they get a lot of cold outreaches, like they get a lot of people cold calling them, they get a lot of emails every single day, and they get into this mode where they don't want to pay attention to, right? They'll be just like, this is another pitch, I don't want to hear. They'll be in that mode. Like how to capture attention of the business owner when you're doing cold outreach. Like how does that actually go?
I mean, to capture the business owner, on code outreach and to catch their attention, it's really about
Mhm.
personalization. And it's about
Mhm.
personalizing the email to make sure that that person is going to want to respond back to you. And not only that, but it's relating to them. So like, I mean, like I was mentioning a little bit ago, I mean, if you go to their website, if it's an orthodontist, you can look up and see, how many awards they've won and talk about that. Or if they went to college, you can talk about that. Or you can talk about, anything that, you see that a way for you to connect with them. I mean, like anytime I do code email, which I don't do a lot of it as much anymore in order to get clients. But when I used to do it all the time, what I would always do is I would always go and look up the business owner that I was reaching out to, and, doing some deep diving into them to make sure that I could relate to them in an email and send that out via email.
Mm-hmm. Sounds interesting. So just curious, like, do you send the email outreach to direct the company or the CEO? Like, do you find the CEO's email or do you just send that email to the business?
I always send an email directly to the CEO of the business.
Uh-huh. Sounds interesting. So let's get like deep into like how do you find those emails a little later. So and also like when someone tries, like most cold outreach, the main problem they follow is, like they don't get replies. They get open rates, they get people who look at the email, but they don't get any replies from that email. Like people don't respond. So like what do you think is the minimum problem and like what to exactly do when they don't get any replies for the cold outreaches?
So if you don't get a reply to a code outreach, that's the reason why you use a software that'll allow you to track the email. So that way, if they respond to, like if they open that email, if they don't open that email. And if they don't open that email, then you just follow up with them. And so for me personally, I send out several emails if I don't get a response, and I will usually wait about a week, and then I'll send another email. And then if they don't respond within that, then I'll usually send another one out like 2 weeks later. And then after that, it's usually once a month, because you don't want to, blow their inbox up to the point where, you're getting annoying. So you want to
Mm-hmm.
do it in, like the first time right away, and then, wait a week. And then after that, 2 weeks, and then a month from there.
Absolutely, yeah, that really makes sense. So it's all about following up in the cold outreach like that. That's the number one key. You don't get like instant response or something like that. So we should always be constantly following up with the people who are actually on the email. That really makes sense. And Timothy, as you're into like this cold emailing thing and all the, especially being in agency from a long time, like what do you think are the misconceptions about the cold outreach? Like,
I think the misconceptions about code outreach is that people are using automated responders and software like Mailshake to automatically send out emails in bulk, and there's no customization. So people are, thinking, oh, well, if I'm sending these out and I'm not getting any responses and nobody's reaching back out to me, and nobody's reaching back out to you because you're sending them a code email that they're getting 20 times a day. So why would they want to respond to you? So it's just really standing out and being different and making the CEO want to open that email. Like for an example, with me, what I will do is I will think about it for a second when I send an email, and I will say, should I actually would I open this email? So like I would go back through and reread my email and be like, is this something that I would open if somebody was sending this to me? And the chances are, if not, then I'm going to go back through and I'm going to redo that to the point where I'm like, okay, yeah, this I would totally open. I would totally respond back to this person. So it's more so making sure that, if you're sending an email, putting yourself in that CEO shoes to make sure that you would actually open that email and respond to it.
Absolutely, and that really makes sense. So it's all about personalization again and again, right? So it's all about being more personal and not be that robot. Like, right, they almost get 20, 30 outreaches every single day, as you just mentioned. So the more we personalize, the better chance we have to get replies back, right? Awesome, but awesome.
Exactly.
So let's get into the next question, which is like, what tools, like what system do you use to track your cold outreach? Like, what are the tools involved in the whole process?
You can use a software called Mail Tracker. I believe it's mailtracker.io, and that'll allow
Mm-hmm.
you to track your email opens. And then you could
Mm-hmm.
also use a software called Rocket Reach, which will allow you to find the emails of CEOs. And so that would be a great
Okay.
one. And then as well as
Mhm.
LinkedIn, because you could put in a CEO's email on LinkedIn or like a CEO's name. And then you can use a software like Rocket Reach, which will pull the email addresses, and you can also go directly to Rocket Reach, type in the name of the CEO, and then it'll spit out the emails.
Oh, awesome. I'm just curious to know, like, what email system do you use? Do you use like a custom SMTP, or do you use Mail Merge with G Suite, or do you use, I don't think you use this Mailshake or Mailgun, something like that. So, like, what exact email sending software do you use?
So if you're going to send out an email, I always recommend that you use an email, like a Gmail account, for an example. And there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people that ask, well, if you send out an email using Gmail, why would that CEO open an email from a Gmail account? Well, if you think about it from a perspective, if you get an email from a domain name, their spam blocker could possibly block that email. But if it's from a free email service like Gmail, then that email is going to get through because there's so many people that could be emailing them that are from Gmail or from Yahoo or Hotmail or whatever. So that email would actually get through.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's interesting. And like using the Gmail, and like how many people do you think like everyone should outreach or try to outreach to? Because Gmail, I think that really has a limitation to the people there we can send cold outreaches, right? So what do you think is the best number to target on every single day? Like 100 outreaches a day, or 50 or 10? How does that go?
I would recommend doing 100 emails a day. I mean, what I would say is you could do 20 starting out to make sure that you understand the correct way to do code outreach, and then after
Mm-hmm.
that then you could ramp up to doing 50 and then doing 100, but definitely start out with doing a smaller amount with like 20 or 30 emails, and then after that you could ramp up to doing more.
Absolutely. That's an awesome, like you exactly laid out the whole system. So it's all about the people who are actually watching it and who can actually implement that into their business right now. Thank you, Timothy, for explaining every single thing. And Timothy, like as you're already at this level where you're doing like a seven-figure business or running all this team and managing the agency, your clients, and your all the systems, processes, like how does your daily routine looks like for the success which you're having?
My day starting out, I mean, I wake up and have breakfast, and I get on the computer and I I get on the computer and I check and see, what's going on in Slack, and check all my staff and see what everybody's doing, and I just consistently check in with my team, and I check Skype and my email, and then I respond to emails, and I go on about my day. And I mean, my whole team communicates with Slack and Skype, which is really helpful. And I think
Mhm.
for owning an agency, I think it's really important that you have proper communication in place with the team that you're running. And so I think that Slack is a great way of making sure that you have, a good way to manage your team.
Absolutely, yeah, I definitely agree that, and thank you so much for mentioning that. And yeah, Timothy, let's get into the next question. Like, what will be your number one suggestion to a 20-year-old you or someone who's just getting started right now?
If you were 20 years old and you were just starting, my recommendation would be dive into learning Facebook ads. Jump into a course like Unicorn IQ to learn Facebook ads, which is Max Fin.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of good
Mm-hmm.
Facebook ads that you could use.
Mm-hmm. What was that? Oh, You're back?
Sorry about that. I lost my internet there for a second.
Yeah,
All
no
right.
worries.
All right. So the question was, what would be your suggestion to a 20-year-old? My suggestion would be if you're 20 years old and you're just getting started, I would
Mm-hmm.
recommend, taking an ad course like Unicorn IQ.
Mm-hmm.
And then after you take the Unicorn IQ, my recommendation would be, jump in and doing some code outreach, learning code outreach, and then, building a team and then figuring out what company that you want to work with and stick with one vertical. So like if you want to work with orthodontists, then only work with orthodontists. If you only want to work with, and stick with one thing. I think my issue when I first started an agency was I was trying to do multiple verticals. So I was trying to do, orthodontist, I was trying to do gyms, I was trying to do everything. And so I think that's the reason why it's important just to find one vertical and stick with that one vertical.
Absolutely, and that's a great answer, Timothy. Like a lot of agency owners right now still, do the same mistake. They just try to hire, like, do everyone, like do the work for everyone. Like if we ask the niche, they will be saying like, I can work with anyone. They do real estate, they do the course creators, they do consultants, like they do chiropractors, so they target everyone. That's a great answer. Like they should be focusing on one skill and one vertical to target on to actually scale up their agency lifestyle. That's really important, and I definitely appreciate that, Timothy. And Timothy, like as you are at this level where you're already doing great business, like what are your life's biggest achievements and any great bigger goals right now?
My biggest achievements for me was hitting that $1 million mark. And
Mhm.
when you hit that $1 million mark, that really opens your eyes and really lets you go to the next level. And my
Mhm.
big goal that I'm heading towards for this year is actually hitting the $10 million mark. And I think
Oh,
that once you hit 1 million, then you can scale from there and go from there. And so for me, hitting $10 million by the end of this year is definitely, where I'm heading for.
absolutely. Super excited for that, Bud. And it really seems like an interesting goal where you're actually, hitting, like having a goal to hit that 1 mil every single month, right? That's a consistent mil months, to hit that 2 comma X. And we're really excited to see you on the stage with that holding the 2 comma X award. And all the best for that. And I wish you success for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about it. I mean, I'm not going to be getting the reward anytime soon from the Two Comma Club right now because with everything going on with Final Hacking Live, I'm going to have to wait a little bit.
Absolutely, that really makes sense. But and yeah, so far that's great. And let's get into the next question. Like, as you're already at this level, I believe you have made multiple mistakes. So, what was the biggest mistake in your life so far?
My biggest
You're
mistake,
muted.
yeah,
Yeah.
my biggest mistake that I think that I made in life was
Mhm.
I'm trying to think. The biggest mistake that I think I would have probably made in life was, jumping into the business and sending out emails and trying to work in all these different verticals. And so, like, trying to do orthodontists and trying to do gyms and trying to do, all of these different verticals, when really, if you focus on one vertical, that'll allow you to properly scale your business and get past that 10K mark. Because for myself, when I started focusing on just one vertical, I was able to
Mhm.
scale my business, because I think that's the reason why so many people right now are having, being held back is they're making the mistake of, saying, oh, well, whatever company that I can do business with and whoever will pay me is who I want to do business with. But that's not necessarily how you want to do things. You want to find one vertical, focus on that one vertical so you can get really good with that one vertical. And then that also allows you to have the process, proper systems in place and processes in place that allow you to, scale your business. Because at that point, you have all of your systems built out, and so you can just replicate that system.
Absolutely. So yeah, that really makes sense. A lot of people go through this problem right now. Still, like they'll be targeting anyone and everyone, try to sell their offer to anyone and everyone. But as Timothy said, if you craft that into one single product where you can replicate the same vertical again and again without putting a lot of effort, because being an agency, like you need human resources to fulfill, right? And like if you have a system, right, that can take less time to create a customized product for every single person, is going to help you scale to another new level. Timothy, that's a great answer as well. And I hope everyone will learn from that mistake and actually follow along and build the right system for their business. And
Yeah,
Timothy,
it
like,
was
who
definitely
are
my biggest mistake.
Mhm. Yeah, like a lot of people still go through that phase, and hopefully they'll realize that they should be at another level right now by just creating or systemizing their offer and agency stuff. So let's get to the next question, Timothy. Like who are your main inspiration for the success and any key persons involved in this whole thing?
What is my main inspiration for success? My
Yes.
main inspiration for success is, I'm trying to think. That's a good question. I think my main inspiration for success is just being able to know that you can help so many people. And, if you're getting into the industry and, you're reaching out to these business owners, you're actually not only changing your life, but from the financial standpoint, but you're also
Mhm.
impacting other business owners. So you're impacting their businesses and helping them grow their business. And in my case, I work in health insurance now, and so I help people get health insurance. And so, for me, it's nice knowing that I'm able to help another person get health insurance, which can then help save their life, or help them with their cost, or if there's something issue with the kid, or whatever, that you're making that impact.
Absolutely. Yeah, that impact is what we look at when we're doing anything, right? That really makes sense. But and like Timothy, as you are already at this level, and hopefully people who are actually watching this may need some help with anything, especially with the cold outreach or how to run an agency or to build systems and process in their business. So do you have any mentorship offerings? Like where can our audience find your mentoring?
I do have a mentoringship program, and people can learn more about that at www.themarketerselite.com. It's a mastermind that I throw, and I'm actually going to
Mhm.
be turning that into a private coaching as well. And then you can also book a call with me at book.timothylee.co, and I'll jump on with you and learn about your business and see how I can help you.
Wow, that's exciting. And I'll actually potentially put that links directly in the comment box so that you can actually contact Timothy directly. And that's a great answers every single question for Timothy. I definitely appreciate that. And any last words before we actually conclude the whole session?
I don't really have any last words. My last words would be, if you're starting a business and you're just jumping into the agency space, stick with one vertical and, learn Facebook ads, learn code outreach, don't use Mailshake, and also stay focused on one vertical and go into the business because you want to help people out. Don't go into the business because you want the money, because if you go into the business with wanting to help people, then the money will come.
Absolutely. So yeah, the value returns as money, right? We just need to genuinely provide value to the opposite person so that actually turns out and snowball effect will help us to make more money on a long-term basis. And again, Timothy, thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. I enjoyed, interviewing you and all the specific tactics which you just mentioned in this interview about cold outreach and all other things really help the viewers as well as me as a business owner to implement right now in my business. I actually had a lot of takeaways to implement into my business, especially with the outreach stuff. So I definitely appreciate your time. Thanks again for hopping on. And actually, hopefully, everyone enjoyed the session. And yeah, just stay tuned for the next interview, guys. And Timothy, especially, we'll be looking forward to have you again on the show when you hit that show, comma X, right?
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
And you guys have a good day. And hopefully, you guys learned something.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Timothy. Peace out. Bye.